with that in mind, we're going to focus on our big topic to start with, and that's 3 things we've learned so far in the Premier League season. Head over to ProSoccerTalk and NBCSports.com because we published 10 things we learned over the last weekend, but on each Premier League game, we have 3 things we learned. So Nick, Andy, and I share our thoughts and analysis on some of the things that happened during the game and some of the themes developing here. But I'm going to kick this off with by tackling the elephant in the room, shall we say. VAR, handball, that the whole situation is still so confusing. I thought we'd be in a much better place now, lads, than we are. Yes, it's still early in the season. The IFAB rules with the handball situation, it's still, it's different to last season. So now we're seeing these penalty kicks given against Joe Gomez in Man City, Liverpool, and Max Kilman at Wolves, Leicester, which defenders for no fault of their own are just automatically expecting penalty kicks now. They're running back towards their own goal. The ball was being struck towards their arm. There's no intent whatsoever, but it's hit their hand. And to me, it's in a natural position. I know we spoke a lot before about the silhouette and is the arm raised and is it stretched? Technically, it is in some of these situations, but I don't know what defenders, what else they can do because it's natural. They can't run around with their hands behind their backs because they're going to fall over. They're going to fall flat on their backside. So it's just not logical to expect them to do that. And so that's the handball situation, penalty kicks. And VAR, we had a situation, a big one. Some might say it was game-changing in Man City, Liverpool. Before Liverpool's penalty kick was awarded, Raheem Sterling was clearly fouled. It was missed. The ball didn't go out of play, and then it went up the left flank. Sadio Mane cut inside and won a penalty kick. And to me, that's another situation where if you have VAR, you should use it to call that back. It wasn't. It was deemed not, to be a clear and obvious error, but anybody could see that Sterling was punished for staying on his feet. So to me, I'm going to chuck it out there before you guys share the 3 things you've learned so far this season. But my expectations of VAR and the handball rule is slightly diminished. Because I know we don't want it to be perfect. It cannot just be perfect. But I don't know what we want it to be anymore because sometimes it does come in. To be fair, there is some consistency with this handball rule, but I'm not quite sure when it's going to be used and when it's not going to be used. And that's the biggest disappointment for me early in the season. Nick, I mean, you got any thoughts on that? And then what have you learned so far this season?
Sure. The only thing I wonder is there a possibility of some other sort of infraction if the handball occurs? Both of those were deep on the box. And I know that revolutionizes the game, but I just don't see how you can legislate it any other way. For the pass back to the keeper, we have that dangerous indirect kick. A penalty kick just seems it's a little too house money for a foul, quote unquote, of that play. As for the 3 things and what I learned, I think playmakers get the love, but the bigger forwards might be the ones who determine this race. You pick almost any team, and I can thread this needle on their early season success or failure. If your favorite club's underperforming, I'd bet on it being center forward or striker play to a certain extent. And Everton was up for a while, right? Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison were pouncing on the spoil of James. Richarlison out for 3 games. They've done nothing. Burnley and Sheffield United are down. Where's Chris Wood? Ryan Brewster hasn't done much. And the cherry on top is Gabriel Jesus coming back for City. 2 goals in 2 games, 3-3 this season. Sterling looks better out wide. Finally, what's the difference between Man United in the Europa League and in the Premier League? It's against PSG and RB Leipzig. Marcus Rashford looked like a Ballon d'Or winner. So for me, let's look back and you can even point to Harry Kane. The big boys are going to do work this year, and that's been the difference for me.
Andy, what have you learned so far?
Yeah, I'll take that, Nick, and I'll kind of build on it just a little bit more and talking about some of the teams down at the bottom of the table. And I tweeted it to you, I think, on Saturday or Sunday, what the expected goals tables were telling us about a team that wears black and white from the Northeast there in England. It's not great times for Newcastle at the moment. Bottom of the league in terms of expected goals for, and bottom of the league in terms of expected goals allowed as well. So both ends of the field not really getting it done. And here's maybe what should be a little bit of a heartening point for some Newcastle fans or fans of a number of different teams. They're not the only one that are struggling on both ends of the field. There's 4 teams right now: West Brom, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, and Burnley, just outside, all within the bottom 6 in both of those metrics. So while the power is kind of being spread out at the top of the table, the futility is being kind of consolidated between 4 or 5 or 6 teams. And so I think we're getting a pretty clear picture, even on a team like Palace, who are overperforming a little bit and kind of sitting mid-table. There's definitely some regression due for that team, and they've gotten away with it a few times this season. And so they're probably going to fall back down into that group. It's becoming pretty clear to me who's going to be kind of in that relegation battle this season once the season, restarts and we get deeper into it. So just be on the lookout for that, because those teams are offering very little on either end of the field, and 3 of them have to go. And based on what we've seen so far, it's not going to be a huge loss for anybody other than, fans of those teams.
There you go. We've learned a lot so far in the Premier League season. Can't quite believe it's only been 8 match weeks. It's with everything else going on, the Champions League, Europa League, it's so much action crammed in. But as you said, Andy, we're starting to see the table settle down now. At the top, of course, there's a lot of contenders. A lot of the big boys have slipped up early in the season. But at the bottom there, those 5 or 6 teams at the bottom have been cut adrift already. And even a team like Leeds United had a few stumbles early on, lost Calvin Phillips. Maybe they will get dragged into the relegation battle, which you didn't quite expect, considering everything that was so great about Marcelo Bielsa's side early in the season. So, yeah, a lot of good things to learn about the Premier League over the last week. And head over to ProSoccerTalk and NBCSports.com. We have it covered with all the latest news and analysis from the Premier League.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe. Make sure you subscribe to watch highlights all season long, and always join us every weekend at 7 a.m. on NBCSN for Premier League mornings. Plus, make sure you subscribe to Peacock Premium as well, where you can watch exclusively live 175 games and same-day on-demand replays of all 380 Premier League matches as well.